And to talk more about Hollande's visit to Israel and the prospects for a deal on Iran's nuclear program, I'm now joined by Kyle Olson. He is the president of Olson Group and a leading authority on terrorism and weapons of mass destruction. Give me your thoughts on the significance of these talks. And once again, if maybe you can also talk a little bit about this Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. A lot of fiery rhetoric today saying that his job is to avoid another Holocaust. It seems like he keeps saying, hey, bad deal, bad deal. Are people listening?
Well, I think they are listening, and I think that if you really take a look at it, Netanyahu absolutely and Hollande as well view their job right now as making sure that everyone is aware that the stakes are very, very high, and that that any agreement less than something above the one that's on the table is simply not going to be acceptable. I mean, you have to remember, Israel sees a nuclear Iran as an existential threat. Small country, big neighbor. If they have the nuke, then that basically trumps whatever Israel's got in their cellar.
Has the train left the station, though? It seems like there's so much momentum going towards a deal. It seems like that's all the, Kerry coming back and going to the talks in Geneva. It just seems like it keeps getting ginned up in that way. Can they prevent it?
Well, I think that's what Israel is concerned about. Is that the deal was going to move down the track without their input, or without what they would feel to be sufficient input. One of the things about the entire negotiation package that you've got, or the negotiations that are going forward there, is that there are so many different facets to this thing. You've got the Israelis, you've got the French, who are, for some reason, all of a sudden Israel's best friend in the Middle East. You have the Saudis. You can't ignore the Saudi Arabians, and then you got traditional Sunni and Shia relationships there that are a problem. You've got the P5+1. I mean, this is a very, very complex mechanism that's rolling down the track here. And to think that anybody's going to simply step up and say, okay, we have a simple solution here, that's not in the cards.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts, like you say. How about Francois Hollande being there? Will this impact relations between France and the United States, you think?
Well, I think the French are, like many countries, I think there's a national interest in looking for advantage. I think Hollande recognizes that France and the United States have got so many areas of common interest across the board that they can play this sort of rough and tough role in this discussion without it jeopardizing too much else. But I think that Hollande is also well aware of the fact that he's in a position to disrupt the process. He can't make the game, but he can break the game up if he wants to.
So talk to me about Secretary of State John Kerry. He's got his hands full trying to move forward with all of this, but also massaging a lot of these different interests. You're talking about Saudi Arabia, talking about Israel, France, all major allies of the United States. How does that all unfold?
Well, if it was an easy job, anybody could do it. But John Kerry is probably, Secretary Kerry is probably one of the best qualified people in the world to do this. He's been massaging egos in the United States Senate for decades, and he understands he's got a situation where the P5+1, the permanent members of the Security Council in Germany, are trying to reach an agreement that has some really long-term ramifications. Has ramifications that affect everything from the way those countries view their security threats, but even questions of whether the United States is going to stay as heavily involved in the Middle East. He is massaging things. He's putting different chips on the table, and I think at the end of the day, he feels that there is a deal to be done out there. Now, whether or not we're going to have to wrap that up, or we'll see that wrapped up with maybe some soft words covering up some hard edges, that's entirely possible too.
So, if you were to look in your crystal ball, what do you see?
Oh, I think we'll get an agreement. I think there's going to be some arm twisting. I think that at the bottom line, Rouhani needs an agreement. President Rouhani needs an agreement to take back to his government and to his people in Iran. So he's got an interest. He will make some accommodation. I think that the United States will find a way to keep Israel on the farm. And at the end of the day, I think there will be a deal. But it's not going to be something that is going to solve the problem for all times. It's going to set the stage for more negotiations 6 months down the road.
All right, Kyle Olson, thank you so much. Appreciate it.